Hola, JOCHIS! Welcome to our new podcast, which is a little kind of a spin off of our main podcast, The J Word, where we talked about Drag Race Mexico. But this time around, we're just going to talk about whatever we want, because it's our podcast, not yours.
Ah,
My name is Chucho, and I'm here with.
I'm Terry.
Yay!
Hi.
So, if you're new here, we are, creators. I'm a filmmaker. Terry is a wonderful writer and comic book artist. And we just like to hang out and talk about stuff. You can check on my channel all of our episodes for 2 seasons of the J Word. And this is going to be our first episode of Hola, Hochis! Um,
We would be talking about this stuff anyway, so
yeah, exactly. So we might as well record it.
we're going to be talking about how I basically forced you to watch a movie so we could talk about it.
Okay, you
We
didn't
would be talking.
force me.
We would
You
be
didn't
talking
force
about
me.
it anyway. So
You pressure me, because force me would mean that I didn't want to watch it, but I did.
oh, okay.
It's just that when I want to watch something, it could take me 10 years to be like, oh, finally I get to watch this.
Okay, but
you know?
okay, before we get into it, let's talk about why that is, because I think a lot of people are like that. Like, it's not that they don't want to
Yeah.
watch something; it's that we all either don't have time or whatever. So, like, for you, it's just you're probably busy doing other stuff, and
Well, yeah.
I'm sure you have a,
But
but no, but I mean, you probably have a list of stuff you want to watch.
I do. I do. No, I
So
have.
yeah,
Okay, I have lists of things that, like, watch lists all the
Memela
way
joining the
back to,
podcast.
like,
Memela joining the podcast.
yeah, all the way back to 2021. I'd be like, okay, these are the movies that I have to watch in 2021, and then I just do another one for 2022 and 2023, and, like, I never finish them. So that's how it
Well, I
is.
think it would be kind of fun if, I'd say forced, but whatever. Like, I got you to watch this. We talk about it. You can
Yeah,
choose
I
the
know, I
next
know.
one, and then maybe
Okay,
I choose the one after that. I already have the next one that I want you to watch in mind. I'm not gonna tell you what it is.
I know, and it's been a long time
Um,
coming.
no, no, no. It's not even that. It's not even that.
Oh,
I'm just
okay,
talking about a
okay.
movie. I'm just talking about a movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we might talk about a season of a show, or we might talk about a movie, or what. Anyway,
Yeah.
what are we here to talk about today, Chucho? You tell me, since you're the host.
Yes. So today we are going to talk about K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yay!
I mean, when it came out, I guess, just like men, a lot of other people, like, I never even realized that it had come out. But then, as it started to go viral and everybody was watching it, I mean, like, oh my god, this is actually great, and blah blah. I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch this. But then you watched it and you became obsessed with it, and now it was, like, okay, now you have to watch it because I am obsessed with it.
Yeah.
So
I literally, I think I told you, maybe I told you, I did tell my friend Maddie. I said that this is probably my favorite animated movie since Aladdin in 1992.
wow. Okay.
I heard about it a long, long time ago because
Mhm.
through a friend of a friend, whatever, I knew somebody who works at Sony Animation, and we were chatting about some books and stuff and whatever. Um, I don't know what, trying to be I don't know what I can say. Anyway, we are chatting about books, and he told me about this movie, so I was really excited about it. And then I just, it was forever ago, so it kind of just fell off my brain. And then they started announcing it. It came back into like whatever, and I was excited for it because by this point I had become super obsessed with K-pop, as you can
Yes.
see, as you can see. Um, so I thought, oh, this kind of is right up my alley. It's basically, it sounds to me like Buffy or Sailor Moon
Yes,
meets
that's the
K-pop.
first
Like,
thing. That's the first thing that I thought about. Like, as soon as it started, I was like, "Oh, this is just like a vampire slayer," you know? Like,
yeah.
they're just like chosen girls who have to slay vampires. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I saw Aladdin 13 times in the theater, and that was when, I was 12 years old. And so this, I think, is interesting because it was released on Netflix, and it's gone like number one globally. Like, it's maintained its number one spot. And I think that, we could get into a whole conversation about how um, today a lot of people don't want to go to movie theater because the tickets, and then they have to deal with other people, and then you got to pay for food, and you got to, so like, it could be an expensive thing just to like go to theater. When during the pandemic, we all kind of got used to
Yeah.
just watching stuff at home. Um, I waited. I was out of town when it came out. Otherwise, I would have watched it like right when it came out. But I had also waited because I wanted to watch it with my friend Travis, who I watch a bunch of K-pop stuff with. And so we watched it together when it came out, and I was just like, my eyeballs were like glued to the screen. I did not expect it to be as good as it was, which is what
Yeah.
everybody like. I've watched a million YouTubers now react to it. Everyone's like, I did not expect that to be that good, or I don't know anything about K-pop, and this was amazing. Or like every single one of them has mentioned they've gotten goosebumps and chills watching it. None of them expected it to be emotional, and I don't know
Yeah.
what I expected either. I did like I think a lot of
No,
people
but
didn't expect there
also
to
I
be like a story.
yeah, I feel like the the like you should have seen me react to it because my face was hurting like only like 5 to 10 minutes in from smiling, not even laughing, like
Hmm.
just smiling because I was like, what is this? Like what, how is this so like magical and great and like amazing? Like it
Yeah.
made me feel like a little kid, which is amazing. It's what I want from movies like this,
Uh-huh.
to feel like a kid again. And like one of the things that I really like about it, more in a kind of like a cynical cinephile kind of way, is the scope of it because it
Oh
feels
yeah.
like big. It feels like a big event kind of movie, and it's one of those streaming movies that you go like, oh, this could have gone, like I wish I could have seen this in theaters. You know what I mean? But at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm like, I know how hard it would have been to release this and market this and like convince people to go watch it because
Yeah, that's
yeah, because yes, I feel like it's easier for no, people who don't know about K-pop to give it a try at home,
yeah,
and like even with all the K-pop fans around the world, like it would have it. I don't think it would have been like a smash hit financially if it had
I
come out in
agree.
theaters,
I think that
which
the
is
fact
sad
that it
because
was
I want to see it in like the biggest screen possible.
I think that the fact that it was on Netflix is what helped its
Yeah,
success because people could immediately react to it, put stuff on YouTube, talk about it, watch it again. Like,
which is
had it
kind
been in
of
theaters,
unfortunately it's kind of what happened with Elio just now.
yeah.
Like I feel like a part of us wishes that Turning Red and Luca had come out in theaters, in the middle of the pandemic, but also I feel like the same thing would have happened that happened with Elio. Like
Hmm.
it would have like it wouldn't have made a splash as much as they did, like coming out during the pandemic and being
Yeah.
like these cultural phenomenons. And so yeah, I feel like it's sad, but at the same time it's inevitable that movie going is going to change so much that some movies, no matter how great they are going to do better not coming out in theaters.
And it makes me wonder, like, if so, we can talk about this later, but if they make a second one, because of
Yeah,
the first one's success, would they release the second one in theaters? You know what I mean?
maybe that would be a mistake. Maybe
It could, but maybe it would be
because maybe
huge
they
because
will be
people
like,
would want to
would
see it.
it?
I don't know. Who
Would
knows?
it?
I'm just saying. I don't know.
I mean, the third High School Musical that was in theaters was a big hit.
That's what I'm saying
After,
because there was
after
already two
well,
movies that people like had already like committed to
I
and
don't even
loved or
know.
whatever. That
I don't even know what kind of story you could tell from a second one that
oh
is
I oh
interesting enough
honey
and not
honey
just a
we'll get there.
repetition of the same thing.
We'll get there.
Okay,
We'll
okay,
get
okay,
there.
okay,
Okay,
okay, okay.
so I want to say that K-pop Demon Hunters is directed by Maggie Kang and Chris Applehands. That's sort of most of the I think technical info we can give you right now before we get into it. Um, do you want to just go through some of like the notes and things that I wrote, and I can ask you
Yeah,
questions and see?
please
Okay,
ask
so
away because you're the one who forced me.
that's right. So the first thing that I was totally obsessed with that made me like I was like, oh, I'm in, even though I knew I was gonna love it because of K-pop and whatever, was what you already mentioned was that like it shows the lore and the eras like
Mm,
of like the different hunters that are in the like film, right? And it shows like the 20s, it shows like the 50s, the 70s, that, and then of course it shows like the girl groups of the 90s, which is where we get like the Sunlight Sisters and Rumi's mom. But because like I've always loved anything like Avatar or Buffy,
Yeah.
where it's like this is the current chosen
Ah,
one,
yes, yes, yes,
where
yes,
the
yes.
other, like you could do stories about the other ones, you could, all of that. I've always loved stuff like that. So this sets that up as well, that Rumi, Mira, and Zoe are the current like hunters, and that we're going to follow their story. Um, the thing I want to mention first, because it's something that I think a lot of people that I've seen watch the movie are still a little like confused on or don't get completely, is this concept of the Honmoon,
Hmm.
because a lot of people are like, oh, so they sing and that creates the Honmoon and whatever, and I'm like, no, it's more complicated than that. Like Celine tells them, and you see this in the flashback when we meet the first hunters, that Celine says that the Honmoon is created by connecting people with music,
Hmm.
and that ignites their soul, which you can see light up, and that magic that comes from their souls is what creates this barrier, and that in getting people to connect is what the hunters do with their music and their voices,
Which is
right?
something that I would totally praise, and it immediately surprised me, because it hit me like again like 10 minutes in or something like that, which is that they they were really smart in how they wrote this, because it wasn't like, oh, look at these wonderful performers and their story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they made it so much about the fans
Oh
and
yeah,
how
yeah, yeah, yeah.
important the fans are,
The
not
fan,
as like just faceless people who you have to save from
right?
evil or something like that, but like part of what makes this lore work,
Yeah.
and also, I have to say, and we're definitely gonna get into that, how great it was to see how genderless the fans were. Like, it wasn't like, oh, just
Oh
a bunch of
yes,
girls, which is
we will
which
get
is
there.
I gotta say, we're gonna also get this is just a whole podcast of things that we are going to talk about. But no, like, we talked about this meme that I showed you about, like, oh, do you like who is best, who's better, like, what's their name, Four Town
Oh
or
right.
Saja Boys. And I was like, I went back to Turning Red, and because it's so North American, it's in Canada, but it's like very North American and Western. They are still, their fans are 90% girls,
Mm-hmm.
and like, yeah, you see the random boy like that they joins them at the end in the concert, blah blah. But we have such an idea of like pop is for girls and for gays in the West, that it's like great to see, like, oh, no, no, like, at the end of the day, pop means popular, so this is like music that is supposed to be for everybody, and
Yeah, like
so
the when we see, well, we're skipping ahead a little bit, but when we see the
yeah, yeah.
fans watching either, well, at the concert at the beginning, and then we see the fans watching Golden, we see old fans, young fans, men,
Yes,
women,
also
like
ageless.
we see, like, I'm sorry about it, but we see gays, like the one that's
Yes.
like who else could wear a sleeping bag to the Met Gala? Like, sorry,
Yeah,
but those
yeah,
are two
yeah,
gay guys right there.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and it really like made me happy, because I think the misconception is that K-pop fans are like just young girls.
Hmm.
And even I feel that way when I go to like an event or a store or whatever. I'm like, oh, am I going to look like the creepy, weird old person? And they're with like a bunch of teenage girls, and it's like not the case. Like
Yeah,
most of the podcasts I listen to about K-pop, like are made by guys. Um,
yeah.
and then I think whenever I go to an event, like nobody cares. Like all the fans are just like, yeah, we all love this. We love Rumi. Like we all,
I,
whatever.
I
Like we all have our favorite, whatever.
I
So
think I've told you. We talked about this. How one of the great things that I appreciate personally about being gay is that I don't get to think about how something looks from the outside anymore. Like, I don't have that pressure on me of like, oh my god, they're gonna think what are they gonna think, that I'm gay? I am. So who cares?
yeah, who cares?
Like, it's something that many years ago I stopped using the word like guilty pleasure, because it's like I don't feel guilt for liking something that I like, so I don't have guilty pleasures,
I talk more
like
about this in my BL video that we are
yes, of course,
making
that's coming
together.
soon. Yeah, yeah,
This exact thing is like guilty pleasure is like, why
yeah,
should I feel guilty for
yeah.
liking the things that I like?
Something that makes you happy. It's like
Yeah,
I'm not gonna feel guilty about it. So it's the same thing. It's like I feel like one of the gay superpowers is the moment that I realized it was a few years ago when I was with a straight friend at a store. And he was looking at sneakers, and I looked at a pair of sneakers, and they were like, these colorful sneakers, but they were like very, I don't know. They were like basketball sneakers, so they were not girly. They were like very manly, but they had a lot of colors. And so I showed it to him. I was like, oh look, these are cool. I was like, I cannot wear that, and I was like, oh yeah, you cannot because you care, but I don't care. I can, And so that's when I
how
realized, like,
sad.
oh, yes, exactly. Like that's when I realized, like, oh, like this is like a superpower because I no longer care, like what people will think because I don't have a pressure to be something other than myself. And
Yeah,
I feel like that's kind of like the message of the movie at the end of the day. So yeah.
right. So going back to the Honmoon, the thing that I find funny is that I'm kind of slowly learning Korean, and because I watch so much Korean media and I listen to so much Korean music, some words have started to just kind of seep in and I remember and whatever. So when they said Honmoon, I was like, wait, doesn't Hon mean spirit?
Mhm,
And so then I looked it up, and moon means door or gate. So
mhm.
Honmoon, spirit door, spirit gate. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, great, sweet. So the other thing I want to mention that I have been confused about and I had to look up is that most of the time when we see Celine, except for the one scene where she's like at a table, she's in front of this like huge tree
Mhm.
with ribbons. And I'm like, I don't know what is this? Like they never say what it is. They never talk about it, which I think is kind of cool. Like
Yeah.
you don't need to explain every little thing to us, and especially if that's something that's like part of like Korean lore or culture or whatever, then that's cool. Like Koreans will get it. For those who know, they know. But so I looked it up, and essentially this tree thing, it's called like Shinmok, and it's like in the old timey days, people would decorate large trees with colored linen strips that resembled like different elements and powers, and they would worship this tree as like a mountain god or whatever. And the shamans, the mudang, who are the three like hunter women at the beginning, they have a connection to these trees. They would serve them and like as a spirit or whatever. Um, so I thought that was really cool, and like I was like, okay, good, I finally learned what this thing was. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
So one thing that I really liked about the movie as well, which is something that sometimes some Hollywood movies, if not most Hollywood movies, forget to do, is like doing things not in a way that you have to understand every little nuance of, like, especially when it's
mhm,
like a culturally specific thing, but that you get why something is important and how something works and what needs to happen for something else to happen and blah blah. I remember when I went to see Endgame with my dad. He had seen Infinity War, but like obviously he forgets movies as soon as he walks out of them. So I was like, right before the movie started, before Endgame started, I was like, okay, so they're just looking for rocks, and the rocks are important because they erase half of the population, and they need to get the rocks back, and the rocks are all over space and time. The end. And it's like you don't need to know like all the lore behind like who Hulk is or like whatever,
yeah,
because at the end of the day, movies are about like you need to get something so that you have to fight something else with that something, and then you're gonna lose it, and then you're gonna have to get it back, and that's it. And so I really like how you're explaining these terms to me, but I
you
didn't
don't need to
I
know that
almost
stuff.
didn't need to, exactly, because I was like,
Yeah,
I don't know exactly what the honeymoon is, but I know that it's something that is gonna keep the
it's
demons
just a
away,
barrier.
and
It's
that it,
just
and
yeah,
that it could break, and that you need to get it
right.
back, and blah blah blah. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think that not explaining any of this stuff like took away any enjoyment from the movie at all. I think
Mhm.
that's like one of the things that actually it's really good at. Um,
Yeah.
the thing that I find funny is that Maggie, one of the directors, talked about how she had seen a lot of um, like movies or shows, whatever, where girls were superheroes, but that they were like always like these badass whatever, and that they were never like clumsy or
Yeah,
funny or like gross or and like we kind of get that at the beginning when they're eating this food is like they're burping, they're like pigging out, and it's just sad that I think that's so revolutionary, and you know what I mean,
yeah.
like that she had to do, but it made it great, it made it really funny.
Which is also kind of crazy because like you get, you go back to Sailor Moon and like Usaki was like, like the clumsiest and
Yeah,
like the just a girl, just a teenage girl who was like
yeah,
she was as messy as any other teenage girl. But
totally.
also, yeah, that's another thing that I really like, that so many actresses have talked about how when people in Hollywood talk about strong female characters, it's like, well, we don't want to be strong, we want to be real, and realness comes with
Right.
weaknesses and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So we just want to be
uh,
tridimensional.
um I've seen like shirts made that say like strong female character, great,
Hmm.
but I want one that says strongly written female
Yes.
character. Like
Yes, yes, yes.
girls can have flaws and whatever. Anyway, I want to skip ahead a little bit to Golden because, well, no, actually, first I want to ask you what your reaction was when you heard the first song.
That the songs were great. I feel like there's a whole tradition of fake bands and fake
Yeah.
singers and musicians in movies where they don't the movie doesn't work if the songs are not great, as if the musicians were real,
Yeah.
and that's how you get like these few great movies that feature songs by Adam Schlesinger, who passed away from COVID during the pandemic. He did the songs from That Thing You Do and the
Mm.
songs from Music and Lyrics with Hugh Grant and Drew Barrymore. And when you listen to those songs, they're great. Like, they are great pop songs that eventually, sort of like trickle down to the real world, and you can listen to That Thing You Do even if you haven't seen the movie, because it's a great
Mm-hmm.
pop song
Just a good
from the
song.
era.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you don't nail that, it's kind of like the movie wouldn't work. And I feel like these are great songs that you can listen to. For instance, the fact that you can listen to Soda Pop like all day long, and at the end of the day, in the story, is a song sung by the villains,
Yeah.
by the bad guys, and like it's a song that in the story is doing bad things to the characters, but it's still a great song because it has to be.
Well, you can say
And
the same thing
so,
about your idol, even though it's like this, we're
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
take
yeah,
your soul, whatever,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
thing. It's like you can.
Or
It's
about,
still
or about,
it's still a song about worshiping an idol that you
or about
like the.
what's it called? Takedown.
Uh
Which
huh.
is like, it's supposed to be like a really, like, no, don't think about that, but at the same time it's like, oh no, it's great.
That's the one song that an actual K-pop group covered for the actual soundtrack
Yeah,
twice.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. Um, so within the first song, like how it's done, I was blown away. I thought it was so awesome. And then um, when they jump out of the airplane, I was like, yes. I was like, so I loved it so much. In Golden, when they start showing the music video for that, actually, I did relate when Rumi was like, "Yay, we're not gonna rest," like right. Um, but there's a line that Zoe sings that I thought was really interesting, where she says, her line is, "I lived two lives, tried to play both sides, but I couldn't find my own place." The reason I thought it was, I mean, interesting, whatever, is because I didn't notice the first, maybe two, three times I watched it. But then as I'm looking like at other things, she's in that scene, like being pulled, like literally like two
Hmm.
ways. And in the background is Korea and Burbank. And I was like, oh,
Yeah,
how funny. So they're talking about being like Korean American and like
yeah.
how
Oh,
anyone who's
as soon as
a
soon
hyphen
as
American gets
everything
that.
as soon as everything related to like being in the middle of two worlds, and like, we gotta fix this, and I was like, oh, there's nothing to fix. I was like, oh, of
Uh-huh.
course Terry loves this.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
it's
of
a
course.
it's a lot about, I mean, I like this thing of like, we talked about it when we watched Growing Fangs, the short film, which
Uh-huh.
is like it's not supposed to be like, oh, embrace both parts because you're half and half. It's like, no, there's no halves about it,
Yeah, yeah.
like you are one whole thing that is just a mixture of many different things, but you don't have to like compartmentalize it.
Right. So we're getting there because the next thing I want to discuss is Rumi's patterns and that
Yeah,
reveal. But not I don't think in the movie that there's anyone who says um you're hunter and demon.
yeah, yeah,
Like Ginu tells her like a hunter who's part demon,
yeah.
and Celine's like um you're not one of them. You're,
Mhm.
like everybody's compartmentalizing her into these different
Yeah.
things, and nobody ever embraces all of it for her until like later on in the movie. Um, but d- I was, how do I put this? I was gagged. I did not know about this reveal. I did not know this was coming. Did you get spoiled? Did you know that was going to happen?
No, actually no, because I every time that I send you memes of like, for example, I've sent you memes of Korra, even though I haven't seen Korra yet, and I send you all the memes that would come my way of like K-pop Demon Hunters, and you would be like, oh no, I don't want to get to you to get spoiled, but because I don't know the context for anything. I don't know what anything is about, so I just see the memes and I just send them your way. But
Yeah,
like, no, I didn't. I didn't. Yeah, I didn't realize that that was the whole thing. But then when oh my god, I still, even though he's my bias, but I keep forgetting his name. What's the name
Ginu,
of the Gino? Yes. So the moment that Gino is talking to the main bad guy, and he's like,
Kima.
I want the memories to go away, and we see like a quick flash of like the mom and the sister. I immediately connected both things, and I was like, oh, I know what's gonna happen. Like it's gonna be a whole thing of like, we're both sort of like between these two worlds, and we're going to eventually need to work together or something like that.
Yeah,
But okay, I for one, I don't care. I don't believe in movies being predictable because I never care about the destination. I care about the journey. Like for me, movies are about like how you get there, even though I already know where you're going. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Which is why how I enjoy, rom coms and things like that. It's like you already know what's gonna happen, like, but you don't care because as long as the journey is fun and entertaining and interesting, like
yeah.
it doesn't matter. So yeah, like I knew that it was going to be a thing about being between both two worlds, but the journey there was incredible.
Yeah, so it's revealed that Rumi has these demon patterns. A lot of people, when they watch it, they're like gagged. They're like so surprised. But then they're also like, "Wait, but what does that mean? Was she bitten?
Hmm.
Is she infected?" And for some reason, I immediately was like, and maybe just because of who I am, but immediately I was like, "Oh, she's half demon."
Yeah.
I don't know why, but like that's what I thought. And then we see the scene where she's a little kid, and that's kind of revealed that her dad was a demon, and immediately every biracial and queer kid in the world can relate to this
which is
because
something which is something that they didn't explore at all. The fact that, oh, they keep saying like, oh yeah, her father was a demon, her father was a demon. How did that happen? Like, how did that
well,
demon,
when you said you don't know what they could possibly do with a sequel.
there it is. Like, I want to know, what kind of love, if there was a love story
So they
between
do like
a
a
demon and
they do
her
like
mom,
a
or if it was something darker.
if they do like a Back to the Future thing where Rumi and the girls have to go back in time to make sure that her parents get together,
Yeah.
then we'd learn all about them. I don't know. Anyway, um, people seem to sometimes some people seem to not understand like why her voice is being affected,
Hmm.
and that's where they kind of introduce this metaphor of like shame, right?
Hmm.
She's had to hide like who she is, and because she can't share that with anyone, the shame is growing about who she is. She thinks she's bad, and that's starting to like this is what they call the inner saboteur, right? Like that's what this demon king is that he gets in your head, and he like tells you that you're wrong and you're bad and that you suck and
Yeah,
whatever, and
yeah.
then you start listening to that and you succumb to that. So
Did
that
you
was kind of
notice
interesting.
that? Well, of course you noticed, but something that I really liked was that when Rumi and Gino sang together, and they
Uh-huh.
kind of like form this connection and everything, her patterns didn't go away, they just changed color,
Color. Yeah. So
which
I want to
mean which that's kind of like how do you say, a foreshadowing of her eventually realizing that it's not about fixing the fact that she's half demon, but like about embracing it, you know.
so this is a good point, a good time then to bring this up. We're going to jump way ahead, but I think it's a good point to bring this up. Something that I noticed about the animation and I looked into and confirmed that I find this to be really, really interesting is that a lot of people when they watch it, they're like, "Oh, this is Sony. It's kind of like Spider Verse," and then the animation starts, and the animation's kind of like, not I don't want to say janky, but like,
In two centuries.
right. So the interesting thing is that the fans and the girls in the beginning of this movie are all animated on twos, so like one pose for
Hmm.
every two frames, right? And that's what gives it its kind of style. Um, like same for Mira and Zoe, the crowds, like the fans, everybody. The Saja Boys are animated on ones,
Hmm.
which literally means that it makes them
They're
look
more fluid.
smoother.
Yeah.
But when we get to Free, when Rumi and Jinu are singing together, she's animated on ones.
Yeah.
And then during Your Idol, the boys are animated on twos, except for the person that is singing or that it's focused on at the moment, and that person's animated in ones. And
Mhm.
it's so interesting to me because that's clearly like a choice that was made
Yes.
in order to get you to focus somewhere, in order to get you to feel like subconsciously now you're like, oh, Rumi is like opening up. Now she's more fluid. She's more like Genu. They relate to each other. Da, da, da. Like I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
that was really interesting.
So on my letterbox reviews, whenever I talked about animation, whenever I see an animated movie and it's something, you know, like Spider Verse or like the Puss in Boots sequel, and
Yeah, yeah,
obviously this one. I always talked about like expressive animation, and you know, nobody has ever asked me like what does that mean. But what I mean by that, in general, what I mean by expressive filmmaking, is when the thing that some people might see as just like a stylish decision or like something decorative, you know, something that is just there for show, when that is there because it serves like a narrative purpose, because it serves like a meaning behind, not just looking like a cool effect or something that they're doing. And
yeah,
so in this case, what you're saying is literally that, which is like these decisions that make the animation look somewhat different are not there just because it looks cool.
right.
They are there because they are telling something beyond
Within the story.
dialogue and beyond dialogue and
Hmm.
beyond like exposition and all of this. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I want to talk about the doctor's office because it shows a wall of photos because this doctor's like a
Yeah.
K-pop fan, I guess. There's a photo on the wall that looks extremely suspiciously like Felix, Lino, and Hyunjin from Stray Kids during their Thunderous era. They're wearing red. They've some of them, like Felix has
Mhm.
long hair, and it's very obvious that this is Stray Kids. Um, but there's also a photo that gets a close up. I don't know if you noticed this. It's a four-member boy band,
Mhm.
and they look suspiciously like normal human versions of the Saja Boys, minus Genu.
Yeah.
So to me, this implies that perhaps due to their lack of popularity,
Yeah. Yeah.
Genu
Yeah.
made a deal with or recruited this boy band and they sold their
Yes.
souls to become a famous group. And I think that's
Oh.
hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which what this also means is if you want to see Mystery's face,
Mhm.
go look at this photo and you can probably see his face.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Um,
I really love that bit at the end of like when his
when she
hair
sees his face,
finally, yes, she was like, "Oh, you're my type." Too
oh
bad.
well. Um, so with that, we get introduced to the Sasha boys, and
Yes.
Sasha means lion. But also there were these, like, for lack of a better way of saying it culturally, these like Grim Reaper characters in
Mhm.
Korean mythology are called Josung Saja. So like that, it all makes sense, like whatever. And their little logo is this lion, and then their fans are called the Pride, join the Pride,
Mhm.
right? So here we meet Jinu. It goes into full on K drama with this bump and slow mo fall. and this fake out with the hand,
which
right?
apparently it's a reference
So I'll get there.
to the voice actor. Okay, okay, okay.
So the song that's playing is called Love Maybe, and
Mm-hmm,
it's a song from the show Business Proposal,
mm-hmm.
which is the show that An Hyo-sop, who plays Jinu, starred in. So it's like a reference to the fact
Yeah,
that this is a K-drama scene. The actor that's in the scene was in a K-drama, a very famous one, and it just brought that song. It would be like if Sarah Michelle Gellar were here and all of a sudden it started playing the Buffy theme,
yeah.
right? So I thought that was hilarious. This big fake out where he's like, "Watch yourself," and he's like a total jerk. They called that scene the meat ugly, which I think is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then there's something that a couple little things about the Saja Boys that I think I want to mention because I don't know that everybody either picked up on these or whatever. The first one is that during Soda Pop, if you listen to it really closely, when Baby Saja does his rap,
Uh-huh.
in the background, the music is playing I'm a Little Teapot.
Okay. No,
I
I
can't
didn't
not
realize that.
I can't not hear it now. It's so funny. Um, Also, did you notice so within K-pop, there's a whole thing where every idol has like a little animal or like character
Yeah.
thing that represents it, right? So did you notice the Saja Boys'?
No, I mean, I saw a TikTok of like there's some girl assigning like an emoji to each of them, and they were all like animals and things like
No.
that.
So there's
And they talked about how, because I barely know anything about K-pop, but like they talked about how usually like the more buff member of a K-pop band is always they always get the bunnies for some reason, and so I thought about how Wonho is like a fan of bunnies and stuff like that.
uh-huh. No, so like there's actually a concept artist who worked on the
Mm,
movie who he wasn't asked to do this, but he decided that he was just going to create the Saja Boys as little like animal avatar things, right?
mhm,
And he designed five little lion characters, and they actually ended up putting them in the movie. And so if you notice, there's a scene later, it's a really short scene where there's I think a young girl fan and she is buying a can of soda and then her soul
mhm.
gets taken
Yeah.
and on all of the soda cans are the different Saja lions.
Hmm.
Um, let me see. I'm gonna mess it up. I really want to find this artist so that I can um, say his name.
We can just put it here.
Well, I didn't collect all these pictures for nothing. Anyway, um, I'll find it eventually. So, oh, here it is. Haha, I found it. Okay, so this artist, his name is Charles Hilton. His Instagram is Charles Hilton
Mhm.
Art, and so he designed like little keychains for them. They put these little characters on those soda cans, and I think it's funny that like he didn't even like he wasn't asked to do it, but like
Yeah,
obviously that's the thing that happens, and so they ended up
but
putting
if
it in the
you're
movie.
gonna do that, then you're gonna do it all the way. Yeah.
Right. Um, so anyway,
There's one thing we were talking about, like that song "Free" and like all the relationship between these two characters, and it reminded me of something else that I really liked, which is how culturally each sort of like region not even country, but like sort of culture has its own genre that they sort of like culturally respond to, right? And so how usually the American stories are going to be these hero stories because of how America as a country and as a culture sees itself and blah blah. And and so how obviously how the reason why we love telenovelas in Latin America so much is because of how our history has been of like suffering and like trying to but suffering but being resilient and blah blah blah. And so all telenovelas are sort of like that, and I really like how, okay, they're gonna make a movie about K-pop, but they're gonna have this love story in the middle, but it's going to be like full on K drama. It's going to
hmm
be like enemies to lovers, and like they both have something in common, and one of them is a bad guy, but like they're in between these two worlds. Like you can take that story and remove it from the movie, and it's going to be like a K drama in and of
Of
itself. And
course.
that
Yeah.
I thought it was genius because at the end of the day, like there's sort of like a connection between like in the Venn diagram of K-pop fans and K-drama fans. There's going to be a bunch of I'm trying to find the word overlap. Yes.
Crossover, like overlap. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
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 Well, that's so because of that, they're like because there's so much K-pop in it and it's about K-pop. They wrote so many other songs that weren't
Mhm.
didn't make it into the movie. At this point, when the girls are like, "Let's get battle ready and let's take them out," there's a deleted song called "Gear Up" where they're like getting ready, like putting all their stuff on. You can see that on YouTube. It's kind of fun. It's like a little battle getting ready montage, whatever. The thing that I other thing that I noticed that I really liked about the character of Jinu is that he is kind of silly. Like
Yeah.
when they're in the bathhouse, he slips and he's like, "Oh," and then he's running away and he literally goes hee like as he's running. Like it made him kind of endearing and funny, even though he's like supposed to be the bad guy, right? So
Yeah.
obviously they're
Yeah.
making us like him. I'm kind of weirded out by like some people who are like, "Oh, so are they siblings? Is he her dad? Because he's a demon." I'm like, gross. Did you not see the intro where she like thinks he's hot? Like, ugh. Um, so they introduced that um well that he sees her markings and then helps her, and that's kind of like this turning point I think in the movie, um where I think now we're like really invested and want to know what's going to happen here, because like why did he save her, why did he help her, kind of thing, right? um the Saja Boys end up going viral with like their little dance on TikTok, which I think is hilarious because then that's exactly what happened in real life. Like every people every day, regular people were doing this dance on TikTok, and then I've seen almost every single K-pop group that I follow has
Mhm.
also done like that and put it on their Instagram and their TikTok and whatever. It's really fun seeing actual groups do that. Anyway, like I watched a whole clip of Jungkook from BTS
Mhm.
watching the movie and like crying, like at a crucial point in the movie. Not gonna get there now, but anyway. So I thought it was funny that that kind of stuff like went viral too. We meet what I think is probably your favorite character in the whole movie. Am I right? Am I wrong?
I mean, who are you? Who are you talking about?
We're talking about Derpy, the tiger.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my god! So I mean, it's so easy to be cynical about any sort of like fluffy, cutesy thing that they put in an animated movie just to sell toys. But when they go beyond, let's make it a comic relief, but they give it like such a big, noticeable and so easy to relate personality, it's when you go like, oh no, like this goes, yes, of course it's gonna sell a bunch of toys, but this is so like yeah, like it's a character, it's a fully realized character. And like
Yeah.
when it came when it appeared for the first time in the real world, because we see it before, but when I saw it in the real world, I was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever, he looks funny, blah blah. But the moment that he knocks down the pot and he tries to to put it back, I was like, and then
Unsuccessfully.
he tried a couple of times, and then it kind of before falling again, I was like, okay, they're done. But no, it just kept going and going, and I was like, I don't want this to ever stop. Like I could
I
watch 10
heard
hours of this.
I heard Maggie King talk in an interview about how like cats always knock stuff down,
Yeah.
but she was like, I thought it would be
Let's
funnier
put
if
it back.
he keeps trying to put it back up. Um, I initially had that same reaction too. I was like, why a tiger? Why a bird? Whatever. And the whole reason that I like looking into these things is because I know that it doesn't matter for
Yeah. Mhm.
everybody, but for me, it does kind of enhance my enjoyment to know some of these things. So I had no idea, but I looked it up because I was like, but this bird, like, why is there a
Yeah.
magpie and whatever? So I looked it up, and apparently there's a style of Korean folk art that was very popular that I've seen referred to as minhwa and also as jakodo, and it's with this genre of folk art of paintings that included a tiger and a
Mhm.
magpie, and the tiger is the national animal of Korea, and there's all this like meaning and lore and stuff that goes into these paintings, but it's like a historical thing. So like if they were going to put any kind of animal companions into this
Yeah.
movie, it makes sense that that's what they would be, right? um, they they meaning Jinu and Rumi meet up because of that tiger. Like she follows the tiger, and they have this conversation, and I love the way he says choo choo trains. um,
I love no, I
I
love the why does the magpie has a
the
little
hat.
hat, and he's like, I made it
Yeah,
for the
later on,
tiger, but
but the bird keeps
he
taking
keeps
it.
stealing it. Yeah.
And there's actually a lot of really funny expressions on the bird's face,
Hmm.
um, depending on what the scene is, and that's kind of been
Yeah.
fun to like look at and see
And
whatever.
also,
Um,
my favorite brand of like cutesy, fluffy sidekick character is always going to be the one that is silent, that they don't anthropomorphize so much that it's like like a human,
yeah,
but like they retain like all the animal characteristics, and they act like animals. They don't need to talk.
yeah. During the scene, Genu tells Rumi like about his history and what happened with his mom and his sister. So this is where we meet Genu's mom and sister in a flashback, and we get a good look at them. But it's actually not the first time we've seen them.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you noticed this, but if you go all the way back to the beginning,
Oh.
when we see the first hunters,
Hmm.
there's a woman with a pitchfork trying to fend off a demon, and a
Hmm.
little girl behind her, and that's Genu's mom and sister.
Wow.
Yeah, I was so
How
excited that I noticed that. We see,
many
so
times have you
essentially,
seen this movie, Terry?
uh, I, I don't want to tell you because it's pretty
No,
bad.
I mean,
Um,
come on, this is a place to tell me.
okay, I've seen the actual movie probably 3 times.
Okay.
I've seen probably 34, 35 YouTubers watch the movie, so I've watched it
Okay.
with them.
Yeah.
Um, and watched probably 10 different reviews of the movie,
Okay.
and I've listened to the soundtrack endlessly like every day since it came out.
Yes, of course.
So what I wanted to point out is not only that we meet, and who knows if that really is. I just don't think it's coincidence that it's a mom and a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
girl that are fending off these, right? And it looks exactly like them. But that means that we see the Honmoon, the first time it's created, we see it created from Jinu's little sister's soul,
Hmm.
and I thought that was really cool. When she's like reaching for him and she's like, "Opa," I was like, "Oh my god, I couldn't do it. It was so sad." Um, anyway, so I
There
thought that
have
was kind
been,
of
I
cool.
mean, speaking of Ginu and what happens to him eventually, there I've seen some fan art where they go like, well, they live happily ever after because now he lives in her sword, and so
Yeah,
it's a bunch of things of like her like just like him popping out of the sword and being
the
like
sword. Yeah,
like a ghost, like a sword ghost or something like that. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so I do want to talk about, because this is how he tells us how he became a demon, and I think it's interesting to note, at least in this movie, that it seems like what they're introducing is like this hierarchy of demons or
Hmm.
different versions of. So it looks like you can be born a demon,
Yeah.
obviously. You can become one by listening to
Hmm.
Kima and making a deal with him. Um, and then it seems like there are these different. They mention, oh, these are water demons, and then later on the train, we see like this horde of faceless
Yeah.
zombies. So like zombie demons. So like it was interesting that there's all these different kinds, and I appreciated that the movie didn't feel the need to go into it more than like
Hmm.
you can become one. Fine.
Yeah.
Um, so there's a scene that I want to talk about that I thought it's one of my favorite scenes. I love it, but it's the scene which is the fan meeting.
Hmm.
Um, this
Two
scene was
tables.
actually, yeah. Well, and that shows how fickle I think K-pop fans can be. Like
Yeah.
at a moment's notice, they'll switch to a different group or whatever. Um, but I don't think that's obviously not all fans. Like some fans are super loyal and whatever. But this fan signing scene was originally supposed to be at an event called the ISAC Games. It's the
Hmm.
international like whatever, but it's essentially K-pop idols compete in this event that's like Olympics, so like
Uh-huh.
archery and whatever, and they have them do that. It was made into a fan meeting, which I do think is probably a better uh, scene because executives thought people wouldn't understand why they're competing in these Olympic game things. Fine. Um, but people when the Saja Boys are like trashing the flowers, and then they like suddenly they all like slump down. people are like, why are they so tired? Whatever. And I was like, they just slept outside all day or all night, like
Yeah,
in sleeping bags. Um, we also see this little girl give Jinu this drawing, and this is a moment that like I don't know, like I don't want to say it messed with me, but I was like, oh, how interesting. This like really is affecting him. So we see that
yeah,
he's a much layered character because this this storyline is essentially saying that he sold his soul to make
yeah,
this deal with the Demon King, but that because of who he is, putting himself out there, being in this K-pop group, whatever, that this little girl fan thinks he has this beautiful soul. I thought that was really great. I don't know why. Like I just thought it was like a good touch to the movie. Um, but yeah, it was very like heightening the emotion, I think, of his character. Which also happens when he meets with Rumi again and he grabs her wrist. That's a very K drama thing.
yeah, yeah,
But he's doing that to grab this bracelet, which is this symbol of hope that she is trying to give him. Um, we talked about the animation when they get to free and when they're like relating to each other. She mentions, I don't, she has this conversation with him where she's like, you've already helped me. Like, I had to hide this shame and it started to take away my voice. And, but ever since I've met you and talked with you, like my voice is, can't explain it, but my voice is healed. Um, like I don't understand how some people might not get it. It's like because she can be open and honest about who she is and share it with someone, like that's why the
yeah.
shame is going away, right? Um, I think if you listen to this song really closely, Free, it's not people are like, "Ooh, the love song, the love duet." I don't think it's really a love song.
No, not
It's about
necessarily. Yeah.
helping each other heal from like trauma and shame and it's like helping each like I understand you. Why don't we like help each other like move on from this thing. And I think that that's, I mean, sure, it's like you can say it's a love song, fine, because they're kind of falling in love. But like the whole song is like, let's heal what's broken inside of us, right? Like,
Mhm.
anyway, here we get the reveal about what Genu really did. Did that gag you?
Uh,
I mean, not, it didn't
a
really
little
gag
bit,
me, but like,
but like not really, because I knew that there was something else, something shady
yeah,
behind that. So
that was being hidden from us.
yeah.
There's, they decide that they're going to perform Golden because Takedown is like not the song that Rumi wants to do. It's hateful, it's whatever. And during this scene, like the when they're performing at the Idol Awards, I found it to be real. Like I think I digested this scene a little differently than a lot of other people who've watched the movie because to me this is like a it's a forced coming out. They're like
Mhm.
ripping off her clothes, right? And like um
It had a
Genu,
very it had a smile to energy.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Genu is actually responsible for this.
yeah.
A lot of people are like, this is the part that makes me kind of mad. A lot of
Mhm.
people when she goes down the stairs and Mira and Zoe are standing there and she's then outed, they're like, "Oh, you should have told them. You should have told them." Is what the thing is like what most people I think are saying. And that makes me mad because in a situation like how you and I would probably relate to this, right?
Mhm.
It's never Mira and Zoe should have like created an environment where she felt safe enough to tell them.
Yeah.
It's always, oh, it's on her. Oh, she should have told them. It's like, well, she had reasons for not doing that. Like all the things the girls ever said were like, demons are never nice.
And not
A
even,
demon
and
with
not
no
even,
feelings doesn't deserve to live.
I wouldn't even stop at just them. Like I feel like the main guilty one here is Celine.
Oh, we'll
You
get there.
know.
That's the next scene I want to talk about. Um, like, I mean, when I came out, like my dad told my sister, like, oh, I just don't like how Terry did that. He could have came and told me and this and that. And she was like, well, why do you think he didn't do that? Maybe he heard how you talked about gay people, like, like
Yeah.
his whole life.
That's
Same thing. It's
literally
like,
that's literally in our documentary, Lot of the Glories. Like I don't I we never said anything that this father is talking about their son, and that he says, like, we never said anything bad about gay people. We never said anything
we never said anything
encouraging
good.
enough for
Yeah.
them to be like, oh, I can come out because they're gonna love me. Like, he didn't know that.
Yeah. So like, all they ever heard was like a demon with no feelings doesn't deserve to live. A like demons are never
Yeah.
nice, like all this stuff that so Um, anyway, we can see after this whole thing, after the whole thing comes crashing down, um, we see Bobby, Mira, Zoe, and that they all succumb to like the demon whispering in their ear,
Mm.
and that people are kind of now, as you succumb to the demon, you're kind of like in this trance, right? Like you're kind of hypnotized. Um, Rumi goes to talk to Celine, who I think is the real villain of this movie.
She's the
So
Devil Wears Prada boyfriend. So yeah,
yeah, Celine turns on, doesn't know who it is yet, but she like turns around to Rumi with like a scythe or a sickle or whatever.
because
And I
she's
was like,
also
oh,
because she's sensing a demon. You know.
yes. But I was like, oh, so was this her weapon when she was a
Oh
hunter?
yeah.
Was that what she used? Right? And now it's not
Speaking
glowing or
okay,
anything, maybe because she's not.
speaking of how each of them has a different weapon. Did
Hmm.
you notice how? Did you see my tweets about the movie?
A few of them, but
Okay, no, the ones that those were it, like the ones that I sent you.
okay.
The one that was like talking about Sungwoong Cho, who is the voice actor for both Abby and
Hmm.
one of my favorite Pokemon in. So Pokemon have like like three different voices, canonical voices, which is
Hmm.
one for the games where they don't really say their name, they just grunt or growl or whatever, one for the anime where they say their name, and one for the video games, like Detective Pikachu and video games like that. And so Song Wun Cho does voice acting for that video game and for Abby, and he's also in a bunch of dropout shows like I really love Game Changer and Make Some
Oh,
Noise and things
hmm.
like that. But anyway, so that was one, and the other one was about how much I love DERPY, and the other one was about this trope that I really respond to, which is
Oh
like
yeah,
we have a fiery leader, like a grumpy, second girl, and like a really
a
cutesy
bubbly,
baby,
yeah.
bubbly girl, and obviously it's like the first three scouts in Sailor Moon, and the Powerpuff Girls, and I always forget the name in English because I know them in Spanish as las guerreras mágicas, but it's like Ray Earth,
Is it the
you
Ray
know.
Earth, Magic Knights?
Yeah, yeah,
Magic
yeah.
Knights Ray Earth.
Yes, exactly. And it's like like the moment that I realized that they all had like their signature weapons, I was like, this is so rare, and I really like that. I really like when things are like you're the red one and you're the blue one and you're the green one. It's like a
Yeah.
trope that I really like. And that's how I finally got into Avatar, which is like I told you that I really like when things are like elemental, like they have each of
Hmm.
them has their element, and each of them bends an element or something like that, and that's also part of Rayard. So yeah, I really like
Yeah.
when things like that happen. So yeah.
Yeah. Um, Celine in this scene, I find it to be very intense. Um, I think queer, like, okay, so first I want to say I did see an interview where Maggie Kang talked about how when they were developing this movie and talking a lot about this scene, how they would refer to um, the demon part of uh, Rumi as like her coming out because
Yeah.
it's something that she had been made to feel ashamed about. And so people who are like, why are you attaching a queer metaphor? It's like I didn't do that. The director of this movie did, right? So she's the one who said like, no, it's meant, it's intentional.
Yes.
Like, but
Yes.
it's not just meant
Thank
to
you.
be
That's
that
okay. So
because
that's what we've talked about when we have talked about Luca. How,
yeah.
as much as I would love to, for it to be like super obvious and super canonical and whatever, I don't really need it to be like that because it's a story that could work for many different kinds of feelings, when you are at that age. And one of them is obviously going to be queer kids that see a movie like Luca and be like, this is exactly how I feel, and I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't even need a name for it because it's just like this is how I feel. And eventually they're gonna realize like that has a name. But it's similar. Like this could work for, we have talked about how it works for mixed kids, but it could also work for queer people, and it doesn't have to be one thing. And I feel like, but at the same time, the fact that they don't deny it, that they don't say like, oh, it's definitely not that. No, it's whatever you see
Right.
yourself in the movie,
She's saying we referred to it that way because obviously there's that
Yeah.
element to it. But I've seen trans people who are like, oh, obviously this is how I relate to it because it's telling me to be ashamed of this. It's telling me, this is a part of me I tried to hide, whatever, blah blah blah. I've seen people who are like, I relate to this because I'm autistic, I have ADHD, or
Yes.
whatever. But the other thing that I think is important to note is that a lot of Korean people are saying, oh, we're always told culturally to always be happy, to hide our imperfections, to keep
Yeah.
our faults hidden, to not. So it's like this cultural thing too that's really, really powerful that is being talked about. Is like
Mhm.
societally, we are being told to be this way, when sharing those things are like, so like there's a, I'm gonna, tiny spoiler, but not really. There's
Okay.
like maybe episode 3 or 4 of Korra. Korra's like a really strong person. She's never been afraid, really, right?
Hmm.
And there's a point in which she does become afraid, and she cries to her mentor that she's like, I was so scared, I didn't know what to do. And he tells her, he's like, you have to talk to me about your fears,
Hmm.
about what upsets you, what's bothering you, what makes you scared. That's the only way that you're going to be able to like confront them and tackle them. And Alicia Keys did a whole video about that scene in Cora, where she was like, I've never heard anybody talk about how the things that scare you, the things that like you're told you have to hide, whatever, that you should be open and honest about them.
Yeah.
She's like, I've always thought that those are things that you should just like try to like push away or whatever, and that she found it really powerful that you're being told in this like story or whatever, to share those and to whatever. um for me, I just related to it so heavily about being gay, just because Celine says like, everything I was taught told me that you were
Yeah.
wrong. um
It's a
okay.
li- it's a,
And
I like that it was it was a more nuanced way of presenting like parents that, because we usually see like in movies and things like that, and that's beautiful and whatever, but it's not very realistic that parents immediately accept their children, right? Or that they definitely don't, but like when they do, it's like immediate, and it's like, oh yes, I love you and you're gay and yay. And it's like, no, they have to go through like a whole sort of like a process of doing that. And I feel like going from, I thought you were everything they taught me was like that, everything about you is wrong, but now I accept you, and I'm trying to fix you because I love you. And it's like, well, you are on your way, but you're not there yet,
that's why I thought
and
the
you
most
will
important
eventually get there.
that's why I thought the most important kind of little section of this dialogue is where she said, everything that I was taught told me that you were wrong, but so I did my best to accept you.
Hmm.
And she's like, accept me? She's like, you told me to cover up and hide.
Yeah.
And so like that was, I think, really important part of
Which is
the
the
scene right there.
classic, why does everybody has to know that you're gay? Like, you can just keep it private. And it's like, how is
Uh-huh.
that? How is that
Why is
realistic?
Yeah. We get a fake out here where Rumi says, if this is like, she says, our faults and fears must never be seen. It's the only way to protect the Honmoon. And she says, if this is the Honmoon I'm supposed to protect, I'm glad to see it destroyed. And
Yeah.
she says it in this demonic way. And so it's this big fake out where I think a lot of people are like, oh, she just went full demon. Oh
I
no, what's
didn't. I didn't
happening?
think. I
I
didn't think it was a fake out. I sort of
me
immediately
me
went
so
like, oh, there's gotta be a different way to
me
protect the
me
world.
too. That's exactly how I thought too. Is because she said, because to me it's like, if this is the world I'm forced to live in, then this world doesn't deserve to exist. We need a better
Yeah.
world, is how I took that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wasn't very surprised later. But um, we move on to like the your idol scene, which I think is amazing. A lot of people have commented like a few things. One is like, oh, so they're just flying, they're just like whatever, and nobody cares. I'm like, one, everyone's hypnotized. Chill out, right? Two,
But
you're
also,
saying
they
that
they
as if
they introduced that at the beginning when one of the demons from the plane falls into the concert with them and they kill it like in front of everybody, but nobody notices because it's like, oh, it's visual effects. Of course,
I'm getting
if you
there.
see
I'm getting there.
if you see your boy band flying around, it's like, well, they're in harnesses, obviously, you know.
Thank you. So, number one, people who are saying this obviously don't know anything about K-pop because it's not like Rise, one of my favorite bands,
No,
Rise. They
obviously
literally, they literally,
they never went to an NSYNC concert like me, you know.
hello, right? Like Rise literally is flying when they perform their
Yeah.
song Combo, right?
Mhm.
Like the other thing that I find interesting is that two of my other favorite teams, Hypen and Team, Hypen's entire concept, their albums, their look, whatever, is that they're vampires. And Team's entire concept is that they're werewolves. They're the show they came from was called The Howling. Their albums are called Dark
Wait,
Moon. There's all this lore.
like man with a mission? Do you know Man with a Mission? Man with a Mission is a J rock band that I really like, and they are they like they don't we don't really know who they are because they're always wearing werewolf suits and they're wolves,
Oh,
and they have like all this backstory of like how they were created by a mad scientist and blah blah blah, and like
yeah. So like that, but
that's
they're
how
not
you
wearing
know
like,
them, you know.
but they're not wearing like werewolf
Yes,
suits.
of
They're just
course
like
they're not, but like
sexy
yeah, yeah.
boys, whatever, right? But so to me, it's completely 100% believable that
Jeez.
Huntrix would be a band whose concept is we kill demons, like, and then nobody would think twice about it. Who cares?
Yes.
Um, anyway, we get this awesome song, which is probably my favorite song in the whole movie. As she performs this song, as Rumi begins to perform this song, her patterns are turning rainbow,
Hmm.
which drives that metaphor even further into the ground. Um, and my favorite part is where I think it's the best line in the whole song is where the girls start singing with her and they sing the song we couldn't write. This is what it sounds like,
Hmm.
because the whole time in the movie they're trying to write this new song to like battle these demons and they can't do it, and they can't do it because Rumi is like not being honest about who she is. It's like the shame and fear of having to hide who you are. It's almost like they're saying it holds us back from
Yeah.
creating beautiful and awesome things. And imagine if people didn't have to hide that and be ashamed of who they are, whatever, like the awesome things that it would put out into the world, right? um, I want to talk about what happens with Jinu. What did you think?
Uh, I mean, I thought it was a very, you know, appropriate ending for a K drama. You know, like I like that there was redemption, but there was also sacrifice, and like it's not necessarily a sad ending, but it's sort of like, you know, this is what like there's nothing else that we can like. There's no other way to end this story
Yeah,
that feels honest. You know.
I thought so too. I think a lot of people are like upset that he died, or like, well, no, why? Why did you have to do that? Bring him back. And I'm like, did you not like the first time we meet him? The
He's
Demon King
400 years
says,
old.
the Demon King says, in 400 years, you've never done anything that
Yeah.
hasn't served yourself.
Yeah.
And he had to do something selfless
Yeah.
in order for his character arc to like be completed, right?
Also like you can see it as him already being dead and just looking for a way to move on, you
Yeah,
know? Like
yeah,
he's not going to suddenly become a human and being like, well, I'm 400 years old, you know? Like he's not Edward
right.
Cullen. Like yeah.
Um, I also think that it's kind of nice. It's beautiful, whatever. That like he's essentially made a deal with this demon. He's sold his soul to him or whatever. They never actually say that like you sold your
Yeah, yeah.
soul. They never say that. But he tells Rumi, he's like, you gave me my soul back.
Mhm.
And however, like you don't need to know how that works. You don't need to. He's saying you made me feel again,
No, the
right?
exact
Like
actually because I really liked it. I know it by heart. It is, but your soul. And he was like, no, like you
she
wanna.
says,
I don't
no,
know
I
it.
wanted to
I
set
don't
you
know it by
free.
heart. I don't.
She says,
You already did.
I do, Chucho, I do.
Yes,
She
yes, I
says,
know. Yes.
no, I wanted to set you free. And he says,
The one
you
thing that
did.
I
You
like is the
gave me
one
my
that I
soul
know,
back.
which is you already did. You gave me a soul. Like yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, but she says that to him too, because he says like, "I don't think I'm the one to help you," and she
Yeah.
says, "You already have." And so
Mhm.
I love that they both say that to each other. Um, but he says, "Now I give it to you," and like his soul encircles her and goes into her sword and creates a new sword, like a new
Yeah,
big,
yeah, yeah.
Blue
Yeah,
Beetle Final Fantasy.
no, like Scott earned the power of self-respect. Yeah,
Right,
Scott Pilgrim. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Um, the other thing that I loved about the scene so much, like I usually get teary-eyed when during the Genu scene, and then also when all the fans start singing.
yeah.
So when a K-pop group releases a new song or whatever, usually in a song there's a thing called the fan chant, and
Mhm.
there's like moments in the song where fans sing or chant or whatever thing. And I was like, this is so genius that they're essentially using that, the fan chant or singing along, as their spirits igniting and creating this new Honmoon.
Mhm.
Um, Essentially, what it's doing is telling K-pop fans that when they do this, when they support their group, when they connect with their music, they're essentially saving the world. And I thought that was really fun. It's like a fun way to do it. Um, I'm constantly annoyed because I have seen like over 30 people watch, the movie. That people are like, "Oh, but it's not gold. It's not golden." Okay, whatever.
Because
Like,
it's a
and
different honeymoon.
the
It's a
director.
it's a
Well,
new honeymoon.
what do you not get about that? She says, we can create a new one.
Yes.
It's not supposed to be gold. If it
And
was
it's one that
like,
has new rules. Like it's not about,
yes, we don't know.
yeah.
hmm so
It's
the
a,
whole thing
I
about
would
that
even
would,
say go as far as saying like it's a new one that doesn't rely on blind love to your idols and just like being hypnotized by them and loving them, but it's like about being yourself and feeling a real connection with real people
yeah.
behind the idols.
Again, Maggie King has called this new Honmoon the Rainbow Honmoon.
Yeah,
And people, again, another thing, I'm just
the
like, why do you
gay
not
honeymoon.
like people need to watch movies a little bit closer because they're like, but her patterns didn't go away. I'm like, what do you not get about the fact that like that's
What?
part of her?
Did
Yeah,
somebody
and she
say
has to.
that?
Oh yes,
Did
yes. They're like,
somebody
they're
say
still,
that?
they're still there, and I'm like, they're
Because
a part
there's
of her.
nothing to fix. Because Celine is practically sending her to conversion therapy, and she's like, "There's like, why did you want to fix? Because there's nothing to fix. I am who I am."
Yeah, and when she embraces them, they become like this rainbow color, which is interesting
And
because
literally, what I
when
what I told
she
you, like when they sing free, they
they
are
become kind of they turn like blue when she sings free,
yes,
right? But
yes,
then when she like
but they
does the
don't go
demonic theme and
away
stuff, right? But when she does the demonic like yelling or whatever, they're pink. So I think the fact that they're different, they're all different colors now is like, yeah, you're embracing
because
that it can be
you
everything.
embrace all the shades in you.
Yep, they're playing with all the crayons in the box. um, so at the end of this movie, we see the Sussy fly up over and land on Derpy over a billboard that says "Come Back," and people are like, oh, "Come back? Does that mean Genu?" I'm like, "No, that's just what it means when a K-pop group comes out with a new album. They call it a comeback." So,
Yeah.
but I mean, I'm sure it could have that kind of like hint too. Fine, that maybe there might be like something else or something more. Um, I want to know now that we've gone through the whole movie, what you think of that meme that you sent me. Who do you
Oh,
think
Fort Town
would win?
versus Saja Boys.
Saja Boys would eat them the fuck. Saja Boys are demons. They would eat them up.
But
Four
but
Town are
but
like little
but in
boys
what but in what regard? Like in what sort of area? In what
in every
yeah, like doing
single
what?
one. In every single one. I don't care what it is.
I don't know.
So, you said your bias is Genu. Let's talk about
Yeah,
this. Who is your bias wrecker? I think I
Abby,
know. Uh
Abby.
huh. For me, all you have to do is switch that around, right? So, this is my
Okay,
bias. My bias chose me too. And then this is my wrecker.
okay.
Yeah. Um, I want to talk a little bit about the impact that I think this movie's had.
Can you save?
I
Can
have
you save
seen.
some? Can you save some attendees for me of the Saja
Oh yeah,
Boys?
yeah. Oh,
Okay.
I'm almost done. I I maybe like today I'll be able to finish mystery and romance, and then I have all the
Mhm.
Saja Boys standees.
Okay.
But I've drawn them all in the same dance pose so that you can like have them look like they're performing. Um,
I will do a stop motion animation of them dancing. Yeah.
there you go. The thing that
I
I
loved, I loved every single. Sorry, I loved every single moment where they would be like trying not to fall under their spell, but they would be like, and they would be like angry, but they would be like sort of dancing because it's inevitable.
yeah, it is annoyingly catchy though.
Yeah.
It's infectious.
Yeah.
Um, oh, there's literally one thing I would change about this movie, just one. And it's when they go into the bathhouse
Okay.
and um the thing is Genu says like, "Oh, I knew you'd follow us in here." Or like I knew they would. And Abby says, "That one's always looking at me." And Zoe and Mira both say, "No, we're not." I would have made Mira and Zoe say
No,
both
I'm
say,
not.
"No, I'm not." I think that's just a tiny bit
Yeah, yeah,
funnier.
yeah,
Because like, because then who knows who he's talking? Who knows which one he's talking
yeah,
about? Who
yeah.
cares?
But they
But
both
both of
think
them
that
are
it's
looking
them.
at
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Yeah. I've seen so many clips now on TikTok, Instagram, whatever, of DJs playing Golden in clubs in
Hmm.
Paris, in Mexico, and the entire crowd going fucking nuts. Like
Yeah.
the fact that this music's playing in clubs and people are like, "Work, let's make the Honmoon, everyone!" Like it's just so weird. This movie has been watched 33 million times in its first 2 weeks, and it's on track to be the most watched thing on Netflix
25
of
million of those
all
are by you.
by me, but it's on track to be the most watched thing, movie,
Yeah.
series, anything on Netflix of all time. So like the people who made this movie must be like blown away that
Yeah.
like I mean the songs by Saja Boys and Huntrix have both surpassed BTS and Blackpink in streaming numbers on
Jesus.
Spotify, on Apple Music. Like the most streamed uh group, like K-pop group in all of history now. It's literally a race between Huntrix and Saja Boys. I think that Netflix was not ready, so they've had to scramble to get
Yeah.
merch made ready now. Now you can go to Netflix's shop and buy a ton of stuff.
Actually,
But
I was gonna say like
I made this
so
hat.
there's this there's this thing that we don't know yet what's gonna happen with the movie for the Oscars because they didn't have a theatrical release. So after the pandemic, the rules kind of changed a little bit because so many movies were being released on streaming, but they will also have like a very small theatrical release, blah blah. So they kind of bend the rules in the last few years about the because before, if you were already available at home and then you had a theatrical release, you couldn't compete at the Oscars. So we don't know how much they will bend the rules for them to participate. So maybe
I
they
know they've
won't be
submitted
eligible.
I know they've submitted Golden for best song.
That has that list already come out? No, that list comes
The
out like in
the the
November.
pe the peop they've made no, they've made it known that they are submitting that
Oh,
to
okay,
be
okay, okay, okay,
nominated for best song.
okay.
Um, but what was the movie that Martin Scorsese made um with Leonardo DiCaprio? Like which one? Um, about but with Lily, some she's like the Native American
No,
woman
no,
who was
okay.
nominated
So,
because
yeah, yeah.
that came out on
Killers
like
of the Flower
Apple,
Moons.
didn't it?
Yes, but it also had a previous. So when they do that, when it's like a movie exclusive to streaming, and they want to participate at the Oscars, they have to at least dump it in a single theater in LA without any promotion or whatever for a week. And so
Mm.
then they are like, oh, we're eligible because we came out in theaters. So that's how usually happens. So we don't know yet if they did that for this movie, if it played in a theater somewhere, for a week or not. But if it didn't, then it might not be eligible, which
Yeah,
obviously fans
gotcha.
would be kind of mad about it. because
Yeah.
I could
The
totally see it getting, two or three nominations, like one or two songs, and obviously animated feature.
Well, when they said they were nominating Golden for best song, I was like, why don't you just nominate all the songs? When I was a kid,
Oh, okay. So
little look, when
that's
I was a kid, all of the Disney movies had
yes.
they all had multiple songs nominated.
So that's another rule change that I can tell you about.
Ugh,
So
really?
yes, because there were many times where that would happen. Beauty and the Beast had three nominations, and The Little Mermaid
Lion
had two, and
King,
blah blah blah.
Aladdin.
But then what happened was that there was a few years in the early 2000s when movies like Dreamgirls and Enchanted were literally
Oh,
having three nominations, and they were sort of like pushing out other movies. And so what happened was that the Academy changed the rules so that each movie can only submit can only have a maximum of two nominations for best song, which means that producers are submitting less songs now. So, for example, for Encanto, they only submitted Dos Oruguitas. They didn't submit Bruno. They didn't submit any other song because they were like, well, if we only have two opportunities, we're going to focus on only one song instead of
yeah,
splitting the votes. So now that's
weird.
what's happening, which is like movies are only submitting one, maybe two songs. So yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, the fan art world has gone wild. Like
Mhm.
I've never seen fan art blow up so quickly for a project, product, whatever movie series as quickly as this.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. That's so much of it's done to the fact that to the point where I was like, when I started drawing the Huntrix standees or whatever, like whatever, I was like, oh, I wonder if anybody at FlameCon will even want these. To the point where now I've done all the Saja Boys. I've done photo cards of the Saja Boys. I've
Can
done
I
like,
say something about your photo cards of the Saja Boys? I really
yeah,
love the backgrounds because I love how you put like little details that feel like sort of like yeah, like
like
they
things
are.
that are about them.
Yes, exactly, and they feel very much like some. I mean, not that you are that, but like some girl just doodling in their notebook, like, oh, like blah blah blah. I love him, and I'm gonna
Um,
draw his little lion and blah blah.
the funny thing was that I was like, oh, I'll include all their little lions, fine. But then I was like, what do I even put for Abby? What do I do? And I was like,
The
okay, so I'll
corn,
add
the
like a, I'll,
popcorn.
so yeah. So I was like, oh, popcorn and the corn and the yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
um, so that was kind of fun. It was fun to try to think because I was like, mystery. What do I do for mystery? And I was like, I don't know. And then I was like, okay, fine. Question marks and like a spyglass.
Yeah.
Anyway, I will have those at FlameCon. Um, I don't remember the last time I feel like this movie made this kind of impact. It like it's because it's like globally. Like
I
it's
mean,
just been
honestly,
really
honestly, the last thing to actually do that for the zeitgeist and blah blah is Barbenheimer. The whole
yeah, I
Barbie
think yeah,
Oppenheimer thing.
I
Yeah.
think so. So I wrote this down because I was not going to remember all of this. But as YouTube just shows you random whatever, it brought up a news story from Korea that talked about how Bak Yoon-ju, the first vice minister of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, spoke about K-pop demon hunters at their foreign ministry meeting, and he spoke about it as like a symbolic cooperation between Korea, the U.S., and Japan.
Hmm.
Because I guess the film is this combination of Japanese capital, Hollywood, like studio, Netflix, whatever, platforms, and Korean cultural content. Um, so he said something like, in other words, this demonstrates a new model for cross-cultural creative partnership. And I was like, geez, like even like the fact that it's being talked about in meetings like that, like, is really insane.
So
Um,
we're gonna talk about this, not too much, so that we can wrap up soon. But like we have talked before about how in Mexico we're still so scared to actually get into our myths and our cultural things and our and our yeah, mythology and legends and all of that, and
yeah,
actually and our history, of course, and actually change it so that it can, like, so that we can tell all kinds of different stories and not be like, oh, but that's not accurate to the
accurate.
history of blah blah blah.
Hmm.
And how somebody that has done that without caring about accuracy or whatever is Jorge Gutierrez. But
Right.
like I've seen comments under the Aztec Batman movie that is gonna come out about how it's not accurate and like how all these characters are speaking this way or that way or like how they're represented this, and he's like, it's
It's
Batman.
Batman.
And he's like, I feel like we are so we have been sort of like bamboozled or whatever by foreign people doing that with our cultural things, that now we are very defensive of that, and now we don't even allow ourselves to do it. And I feel like it's a difference
Right.
between when somebody from the outside does it, but when we do it should be, celebrated. That I can be like, I'm gonna make a movie about Tlaloc, and it's gonna be, just this guy that every time he cries, the whole world gets flooded. And it's like, it doesn't have to be accurate, and it doesn't have to follow the myth, bit by bit, because at the end of the day, I'm doing it out of the love that I have for these stories and out of the things that I know from these stories. So I feel like every single culture around the world does that. Like so many Bollywood blockbusters are about the Indian myths and the Indian mythology. And obviously Japan has a whole fucking industry out of like just talking about their demons and their legends and their history. And obviously we see it with Korea and blah blah. Why cannot we do that with everything that we have here in Mexico? It's
Yeah,
it's so
like I don't understand
frustrating.
why we restrict ourselves that way. The
Yeah.
way I like to put it is, um, think about all the fantasy that is inspired by Europe.
Yes.
Would we complain that it's not how accurate is Game of Thrones? Like, give me a break.
Yeah.
So then why do we do that to our own cultures? The thing that I've seen, that I found a couple that I think are really cool, and I wanted to do too, but I would never do as well. Um, are people are drawing their own versions of the first hunters from their own countries. I was like,
Yes.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Like, imagine like three girls
Adelitas.
in outfits that are like inspired by, yeah,
Yeah.
like they're like modern, but they're inspired by like
Yeah. Yeah.
Mexican. I don't know. And of course one with like a macahuiro. Um, but yeah, I don't know. We need to stop doing that.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about what I think might be funny from a sequel or fun. Um, some I saw somebody who made it's fake, obviously, but it's really cool. They made a fake like Netflix screen thing
Mm-hmm.
that says K-pop Demon Hunters Season One World Tour, and it's essentially every episode description of what happens in every episode as they're in a different city touring with their concert. And that way you would get to see different
Maybe
hunters from
maybe they
different
have exactly. Maybe they have to tour the world and help everybody.
create
Strengthen
a
their
rainbow
respective
Honmoon
Honmoon. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
instead of a gold
Yeah.
one or whatever. And they would call the Honmoon different things in different countries. They would have different rules for different hunters. Like it's very expansive. You could do whatever you want with it. But I think a TV show, obviously, I would take that too. Um, I don't think there's any way they can't make something else, make another thing.
Yes.
Like
Obviously.
Netflix is going to want them to. What do you think? What would you want to see?
I. Hmm. I mean, I don't really.
I mean, because a lot of
I mean,
people,
I would totally watch like something that doesn't even follow the same characters and just follows like past groups. That would be kind of
mhm,
cool.
yeah, I think, I mean, too many people are like, we just want Genu back, and I'm like, okay, but I also don't want that to like make
But
like
like
that happens,
that's
and
the
then like,
most boring option. Yeah.
yes, and I think that also makes his sacrifice mean a little less.
Exactly.
Um, if we just bring him back, like whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, yeah, it's my favorite thing in the whole world right now. I want all the merch. Everybody, please buy my stuff at FlameCon so I can buy some K-pop Demon Hunter stuff. Um, but yeah, did you see the standees that I made?
Yes. Yes, they're
Let
very
me
cool.
see. Let me see. Here they are. See my standees of the girls. Anyway, who is your Huntrix bias?
I would have to say. Okay, so remind me of the names real quick.
Rumi is the main purple hair.
Uh
This is Mira
yes,
and
Mira.
Zoe.
Yes, that's it. Mira.
Yeah, Mira's
Definitely.
great.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, I saw this clip of this guy who was like, So I'm a waiter, and I live in New York, and I recently watched K-pop Demon Hunters, and I was at work. He's like, and I was turned around from the hosting station like this. He's like, and I was just singing, "Fit check for my napalm era." He's like, I was doing that like 10 times, and then turned around and saw that there were a whole bunch of customers waiting to be seated, and then they'd all heard him singing that over and over again. It was really funny. Um, yeah, I think Mira's character is obviously kind of like this archetype, right? Of like the not she's not mean. She's just like
No, she's grumpy. She's like Buttercup.
grumpy.
Yeah.
Yes. And and I think that just giving us the tiny little bit of like her family sort of rejects her, and
Mhm.
so this is her new family is enough for us to be like invested in her character, that these girls
Yes.
mean something to her even though she doesn't come
Oh, I
across
remember. I remember
well all the time.
the other trio that I put on my Twitch,
Oh yeah.
which was Azula, May, and
May
yes,
being
and Tylee.
grumpy.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, Tylee being bubbly. Yeah,
Hmm.
perfect.
Yes.
Um, I mean, I would call Azula grumpy too, but whatever. Um,
Well,
yeah. Well, before we start talking about Avatar, maybe we should wrap this up.
yes, please. But that's a great
I
segue
could go on and on.
for the eventual next episode where we talked about Korra. So yeah.
There's another series I want you to watch that I think you'd really
Oh my
enjoy that has
god.
this thing that has no, it's just one season and it's like maybe like a few episodes. It's not long at all.
Okay.
But it's got the same sort of like lore of like the
Mhm.
current warriors, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, but do you know the Tartovsky? I don't remember how to say his name. Animation. He did Samurai Jack and Primal, and
Yes. 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 Yes.
so he has a show that he made called Unicorn Warriors Eternal.
Okay. Wait, we've talked about
And
it.
yeah, I think we probably have.
Yeah.
But like, there's robots and witches and
Mhm.
all kinds of stuff, and it's really cool, and I like it a lot.
Robots and witches on my.
I'm gonna make you watch it.
Okay.
All right, that's all I have to
Well.
say. I think I'm gonna go. Um, I'm gonna go to my couch, and watch K-pop Demon Hunters again.
All right.
Why not?
So well, we hope that you enjoyed this very interesting and deep and educational conversation between Terry and me. And that's it. I mean, we're basically going to do this sparingly, when we feel like it.
Whenever we feel like it.
Yes, exactly. And we are still waiting for Drag Race Mexico season 3. So we'll see whenever that happens. And that's it. So here are our
Take care.
social media, and take care, and hola
Until next
Jochis.
time. Adios, Hochis.
Bye.